Welcome to today's bait. And as I mentioned, today we are talking about trusting in God versus trusting in men. And I think from the amazing comments that you guys have written in, we have come to the conclusion that trusting God is what we need to do at the end of it all. So let me read from the book of Jeremiah 17:7-8, and it says, and I'm going to be reading from the Amplified Version, which I love because we just get all the extra words. It says, "Blessed with spiritual security is the man who believes and trusts and relies on the Lord, and whose hope and confidence expectations is the Lord. For he will be nourished like a tree planted by the waters, that spreads out its roots by the river, and will not fear the heat when it comes, but its leaves will be green and moist, and it will not be anxious and concerned in a year of drought, nor stop bearing fruit." And let me just read on the meaning of trust, because I think it is important for us to look at the meaning of these words. I think we know what trust is, but when we look at it from the Hebrew version of it, the name trust is also can be said as bata, which is a Hebrew word, and it means the sense of well-being and security that results from having something or someone in whom to place confidence. The word also means feeling confident, being carefree, and trusting yourself to hoping or trusting. Now, I want us to do an exercise. Picture yourself in a matatu. And I think many of us travel maybe by matatu, some of us have cars, but wale ambao wanaenda na matatu, ama hata maybe umepanda boda, ama wakati mwingine labda kwenye ndege. Now, picture yourself in that, that vehicle. You usually have this kind of trust that I'm going to get where I'm headed. Like you're so sure that come what may, hata kukuwe na jam, kukuwe na nini, nitafika kule ambako ninakoenda. You always are so sure. You have this confidence in this person you don't even know. Hata humjui ni nani ambaye anaendesha hili gari ama pilot wa ile ndege, but somehow you are certain that you're going to arrive to where you are. So some of us think that it is difficult for us to trust God, but then we put our trust in the people that transport us all around, even without us knowing them. So how about we begin to walk that exact same way when it comes to life? And what we need to know is that God is our driver. God is the one who is on the driver's seat. And no matter what is happening in our lives, even the things that we do not understand, we can always trust God to take us to the other side of comfort, even when we are going through a difficult season. It is difficult for us to trust God in the midst of challenges. Look at Joseph. After Mungu amempromise kwamba atakuwa mahali ambapo angekuwa, a ruler, the next thing we see is that he's taken into slavery. But we don't see even at one point Joseph complaining to God and asking, "Hey, what happened? Kwani si tuli agree?" And he even flees sexual immorality, even in that state of knowing that he had not yet received the promise. But I think what we can learn from him is that he trusted God to fulfill his promise even when it delayed. And something else to even look at is, how this verse has elaborated itself. You being like a water that is planted next to a stream. How beautiful is that? Sending out your roots to the water, so they are not afraid when hot weather comes. So God does not say that hot weather will not come. God does not say that challenges are not going to come knocking, but then your roots are so inclined deep into the soil and it's drawing water from the stream, meaning that even when the drought is there, it means that you can be confident and your leaves are going to always be green. And it says they have no worries when there is no rain. So there are days when there will be no rain. Not only will there be days of heat, there will be days that there will be no rain. But us trusting in God is not about only when we see good things happening. Our trust in God has to be activated when things are not going our way, because then we can show God that, hey, I have faith in you. I have trust in you, and I know that you're going to come through for me. And Isaiah 26:3 also tells us, you keep in perfect peace him whose thoughts are fixed on you, who trusts in you. Meaning that when you trust in God, God gives you a supernatural peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding, knowing that even when things are not going well, that God is going to come through for you. And what this verse says is that whose thoughts are fixed on you. Meaning that you're not supposed to be fixing your thoughts on the troubles that you're facing, but rather your thoughts should be fixated on God, who can turn the situation around. I like to say this: don't focus on the problem, focus on the problem solver. That's exactly what you need to do. And in your own free time, you can go through Isaiah 30, which reveals to us that sometimes when we do not trust God and decide to take up our own means or our own ways of survival, we end up falling. So my challenge to you today is, put your trust in God. God will never disappoint. God will never ever fail you, and atajibu kwa wakati. That's one thing you can trust God over. So today, let us choose to trust God and not put our trust in men. That is today's faith.